We begin at the broken starboard promenade of Titanic, untouched since 1912.
The ship's upper decks have eroded into open wounds of twisted steel.
Even now, original plates still cling to the hull, their lettering almost erased by time.
Here lies a twisted reminder of the musicians who played until the end.
Paper still survives here, barely by fragile echoes of a final performance.
Personal items lie trapped beneath the ship's broken canopy.
Passenger possessions remain frozen exactly where the ship claimed them.
Every doorway here leads deeper into the tragedy. Even the ship's insignia clings to life, its colors nearly gone.
This section will maintain its exact rusted, corroded state as we explore deeper inside.
We move toward a breach in the promenade's outer wall.
Old brass fittings remain locked in place, despite more than a century underwater.
Structural beams have folded in on themselves over decades of pressure and decay.
Scattered belongings offer tiny windows into the lives once lived here.
Even the seating fixtures endure, stripped to their skeletal metal remains. Small patches of original paint survive the relentless deep-sea erosion.
Ceiling sections now rest on the floor, reversed by time and gravity.
A luggage tag surfaces, its name nearly swallowed by corrosion.
The promenade extends into deeper shadows, unchanged in its silent collapse. Fragments of the ship's identity remain trapped among these rusted rails. Ahead lies one of the promenade's interior access points, warped by years of decay.
Even tine fittings like coat hooks endure, clinging to the ship's bones.
Overhead latticework has fallen under its own weight, now resting across the walkway.
Lighting fixtures lie scattered where they fell on the night of the sinking.
Railing sections collapse unevenly, preserving the moment of structural failure.
Footwear remains only as fragments, worn thin by the deep. Ornamental trim, once polished, now crumbles under layers of marine growth. Support columns tilt under decades of strain from the collapsing deck above.
Small hardware pieces litter the floor, detached as the ship's structure continues to weaken.
We continue forward, maintaining our path through Titanic's silent promenade remains.
The deck here has warped and folded under decades of pressure. Even the handrail supports remain locked in place, frozen in their final position.
Fragments of luggage still lie where passengers left them on that cold night.
Collapsed wall panels now rest like fallen barriers across the walkway. Only metal components of fine tableware survive the deep's relentless decay.
Remnants of signage guide us through what once was a bustling deck.
Structural collapse reveals the immense force of the ship's final descent.
Small furnishings remain welded to the ship by more than a century of corrosion. Hinges and fittings provide subtle clues to Titanic's internal layout.
We push deeper into the wreck, every detail preserved in silent decay.
Overhead plating has fallen inward, narrowing the passage ahead.
Tiny personal remnants still linger in the silt, untouched since 1912.
Handrails lie twisted, contorted by the ship's violent descent.
Wall fixtures cling to their mounts despite a century of decay.
A small scrap of the ship's identity remains caught in the steel.
Even safety tools lie frozen under layers of corrosion. Support pillars show how the ship folded as it plunged into the deep.
Furniture remnants rest where they collapsed more than a century ago. Doorways once welcoming passengers now lie shattered along the floor.
Each step forward takes us deeper into Titanic's preserved ruins.
This bent archway marks the transition into the ship's deeper corridors.
Small pieces of luggage hardware remain trapped in the shifting seabed.
Railing segments collapsed under the ship's own weight as it broke apart. Ornamentation survives only as faint outlines beneath layers of decay.
Window glass litters the walkway where it broke on impact with the seabed.
Bench supports remain anchored, even though the wood has long since vanished.
The promenade floor buckled under extreme pressure as the ship descended.
Coat hooks remain exactly where passengers once hung their belongings. Another scrap of the ship's emblem survives the deep.
We continue deeper, following the path of destruction left by Titanic's descent.
This bent arch marks yet another collapsed section of the Starboard Promenade.
Tiny brass fixtures remain frozen in time, coated in layers of corrosion.
Handrails now lie in chaotic angles, testifying to the ship's collapse.
Floor sections folded and collapsed during the final descent.
Even serving trays survive as corroded relics of the ship's interior.
Personal items such as watches endure, telling quiet stories of the passengers.
Overhead panels now rest precariously, frozen in the wreck's collapse.
Fragments of the ship's identity persist in silent tribute.
Hardware, like hinges, remains frozen, a testament to the deep's preservation. We continue through Titanic's wreck, every detail preserved in corroded silence.
Decades underwater have twisted the deck into permanent folds.
Hooks like this remain frozen where passengers once hung coats.
Railings collapsed in angles that tell the story of the sinking.
Locker remnants endure, stripped of wood and painted surfaces. scattered belongings lie as they were left a century ago.
Structural supports remain anchored despite decades of decay.
Ceiling beams collapsed long ago, now resting as silent relics.
The ship's emblem survives, clinging to its rusted home.
Hinges and hardware pieces remain frozen in place, unchanged by time.
We venture further, every detail preserved in Titanic's silent ruin.
The arches above the promenade continue to bend under the weight of history.
Small details like this knob survive, holding stories of the past.
Twisted railings mark the chaotic collapse of the promenade.
The deck buckled and folded during the ship's final descent.
Serving trays survive only as corroded relics of Titanic's interior.
Personal artifacts like this watch remain, frozen in time. Collapsed panels rest quietly overhead, untouched for decades.
The ship's emblem clings stubbornly to rusted rails.
Hinges remain frozen, preserving their position from over a century ago.
We continue our exploration through Titanic's preserved, silent ruins.
Another collapsed archway guides our path deeper into the wreck.
Every small fixture tells a story of life aboard Titanic.
The twisted railings remain frozen, as evident of the ship's violent sinking.
Lockers lie abandoned, stripped of wood and paint, yet preserved in metal.
Passenger belongings remain exactly where the disaster left them.
Structural supports endure, defying the ravages of time and water.
Ceiling beams remain suspended in their collapsed positions, silent witnesses.
The ship's emblem endures, a ghostly remnant of its former glory.
Hinges preserve their place, untouched for more than a century.
Every detail remains unchanged, guiding us deeper into Titanic, the silent heart.